They told you after high school summer would feel like freedom. No alarms, no homework, no stress, just sleep in and do whatever you want. Finally breathe. So explain this. Why does it feel like something in you got heavier the second that school ended? And you're not alone in this. Studies show that over 60% of teens report increased feelings of loneliness during summer breaks, even though they expected to feel happier. Think about this contradiction. More freedom, but worse mood. That doesn't make sense at all on the surface, unless something deeper is going on. Here's what no one tells you about the summer. School gives your brain structure, and structure isn't just rules, it's emotional scaffolding. And when that scaffolding disappears overnight, your brain doesn't automatically feel free, it feels anchored. It's like someone took the walls out of your room and said, "Be happy now." And at first you might not notice it. You sleep more, you scroll more, you tell yourself, "I'll get productive tomorrow." But then tomorrow feels the same. And suddenly it's not just boredom, it's this weird emotional fog that you can't explain. And here's where it gets even worse. You open your phone and people are posting beach photos, friend photos, and trips and parties. And even if you know it's curated, your brain still whispers, "Everyone is living except for me." There's a psychological term for this known as contrast effect. Your real life feels smaller when compared to someone else's highlight reels. But summer amplifies it, because there's less happening in your own life to balance it out. So your brain starts filling in the gaps with self-judgment. Not because anything changed about you, but because the environment around you got suddenly quieter. And quiet minds can get loud in the wrong direction. Let's talk about boredom for a second, because people treat it like it's harmless, but boredom is not neutral, it's a signal. And if you ignore it for too long, it turns into something heavier. Researchers have linked chronic boredom in adolescents to higher rates of anxiety and depressive symptoms over time. Why? Because the brain starts doing something dangerous when it's understimulated. It turns inward without direction, and instead of reflection, you get rumination. Same thoughts, looping, same doubts, same "what's wrong with me" cycles. Not because something is wrong with you, but because your brain has too much empty space to fill. Imagine that your mind is a room. During school, that room is crowded. Classes, friends, deadlines, noises. It's stressful, but it's full. Now summer comes, and suddenly that room is empty. At first it feels so peaceful, but that silence gets loud. And in that silence, every insecurity has room to echo. That one embarrassing moment from years ago, echo. That friendship that faded, echo. That feeling that you're behind in life, echo. And the worst part is, you start thinking those echoes are the truth. There's another thing happening that most people don't talk about. During the school year, you have roles. Student, friend, teammate, class clown, quiet kid, smart kid. And even if you don't like those labels, they give you an identity. In summer, those roles disappear and suddenly you're just you. No structure telling you who you are that day, and that sounds freeing until you realize a lot of people don't actually know who they are without their environment defining them, telling them who they should be. So summer becomes not just a break, but an identity gap, and that gap can feel like emptiness. And then comes the trap that everyone falls into. I should be using this time better. You see people online learning skills, working out, grinding, building businesses. And suddenly rest doesn't feel like rest anymore. It feels like failure. But here's the twist. Psychologists have found that unstructured rest is actually essential for adolescent brain development. Your brain literally needs downtime to process emotions, memories, and stress. So the thing that you're calling wasting time might actually be your nervous system just trying to reset. But when you don't understand that, you turn recovery time into self-criticism, and that makes you feel worse while you're supposed to be healing. Summer is weird because it creates something called the social availability paradox. Everyone is technically free, but no one is coordinated. So you text friends and they're busy, you wait, they reply late, you scroll instead, and suddenly days pass where you talk to people but didn't feel like you connected to anyone. That's one of the most overlooked causes of summer sadness. Not loneliness from being alone, but loneliness while being technically connected. Let's break an assumption here. This isn't just emotional, it's biological too. Your circadian rhythm, that internal clock that regulates your mood, energy, and sleep, it gets disrupted in the summer. Later nights, irregular sleep, more screen time, that alone time can shift dopamine regulation. Meaning your brain literally struggles more to feel motivated or rewarded. So when you say, I feel off, it's not just a mindset issue. It's your entire system adjusting to a new rhythm without guidance. So let's put this together. You're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not wasting your summer. What actually happens is this. You lost structure overnight. Your brain is overprocessing silence. Social comparison is amplified. Identity feels less defined. Sleep and rhythm are unstable, and rest is being mislabeled as failure. That combination does not create happiness. It creates confusion. And confusion feels like sadness when you don't have a name for it. Now here's the part that nobody tells you. You don't need to fix your entire summer. You need anchors. Small things that tell your brain this day has shape. Not productivity, not perfection, but shape. Because your mind isn't asking for motivation, it's asking for orientation. Even something as simple as waking up at the same time, leaving your room once a day without your phone, one real conversation, or one thing that exists outside of a screen. These aren't self-improvement hacks. These are signals that rebuild internal stability. And maybe the biggest twist is this. Summer was never meant to be constant happiness. That's a myth that we all absorbed. Summer is transition space. It's where your brain tries to process everything it couldn't during the chaos of school. So when you feel worse at first, it might not mean something's wrong. It might mean something is finally catching up to you. Thoughts you ignored, stress you postponed, emotions you outspaced. Now they have room to surface, and that can feel very uncomfortable, but it's also where growth actually happens. So if you're sitting there thinking, why do I feel like this when I'm supposed to be happy? Understand this, you're not failing summer, you're just adjusting to it. And adjustment always feels like imbalance before it feels like clarity. You don't need to force yourself to be the version of you that maximizes summer, you just need to become the version of you that can actually live inside of it. One grounded day at a time, not perfect, just real. And if it feels real right now, or if it feels weird right now, that doesn't mean that you're behind. It means that you're in the middle of becoming someone who doesn't only function in structure, but can also find themselves without it.